before I forget. Okay, I'm recording. Um, I wanted to introduce Shawn Dobbs. He is my husband's lieutenant commander at his command. I'm not going to say all the military terms and lingos because I will get it all wrong. But you guys, so Shawn and I met a while ago. We had talked at a company barbecue, and his mindset and his journey was so inspiring to me. And I said, Shawn, I don't know if you do this, but would you come speak to all of us and just share your story, because it was so powerful. And not only that, but as we started to plan for this, I got to really hear even more of his story and hear where he came from and his background and what circumstances his was given to him as a young child. Can't control those things, right? And to see where he's come today, and it's so powerful, you guys. And so today's call is all going to be about self-belief and working past the circumstances that maybe you're in right now. You have no control over, but how do you change that? How do you move forward? So with no further ado, please welcome Shawn Dobbs. And I'm just excited to hear what he has to say. So I'm going to mute myself, Shawn, so you have the floor.
Okay, so let me do an unorthodox intro here. If you guys, can you guys see this right here? So
Shawn,
this is quite the icebreaker. Yeah, that's quite the icebreaker. For me, that's pretty disturbing, probably for a lot of men. And I think we're getting the point here. So why I play that intro is, you know, this concept of mental toughness is pretty hot right now, and that little demonstration there kind of highlights how I grew up and how I've always kind of looked at, if you wanted to achieve something, you know, no pain, no gain. If it hurts, then it's good for you, and you got to push through. And there's definitely some truth to getting uncomfortable. But I actually, and I have achieved a lot of things in my life by kind of just gritting down, bearing against, you know, kind of putting the bit in your mouth and grinding real hard and pushing through tough times. But most recently, I have discovered that there's a whole nother potential that you can tap into when you start to learn yourself and you start to really analyze yourself, analyze your thoughts and your feelings, and be truthful with yourself, truly be true with yourself and embrace that. There's a whole nother world of potential that you can tap into. So yeah, that pretty much sums up at least the last 18 years of really putting your head down and pushing hard. But self-belief is another level of ability that you can tap into by doing that. So yeah, there's the iron crotch demonstration. It's there's more to life than just no pain, no gain. So I want to talk about that this evening as well. If you guys have this little slide set that Sarah sent out, everyone, then I'm on the second slide where it talks about purpose. And so I know Sarah wants me to talk about myself and talk about my stories and kind of share that. But I just want to make sure that my story, it's easy for me to talk about myself because I'm obviously most familiar with it. And it's easy to talk about some of these things that I've done because they're kind of conversational pieces. But it's really important to me to make sure that any story about myself or anything that we're talking about, the bigger purpose is that this is really not about my story. It's about everyone out there who's listening. I hope that you can see yourself in some of these situations I've been in, and hopefully some of these tools that I've learned to use to overcome some difficult times can help you in your life. So for example, right there on that slide, it says the purpose of this whole webcast is for me to share chapters in my life so that everyone out there can, maybe these will inspire or help you write chapters for your life. So that's the most important point for me before starting this webcast. If you guys go to the next slide where it's kind of like an overview, it's both a summary and a review in one slide. Everything in this discussion is really just my life lessons. So I guess they're not really debatable because this is just my firsthand experience and and this is all true to me. So some of this stuff you'll see in books, some of this stuff may be catchphrases, but if it's in this package, it is true and it's authentic and it's mine. So the very first thing you say on that bullet there talks about toughness and discipline. Those are good, but I say they're only temporary. And what I mean is when we push through things, we kind of like that guy in that video, just kind of like takes a big breath, tightens up his muscles, then boom, takes the impact. Like a boxer in a ring, like that person getting smashed. Maybe it's weight loss. I want to try to lose so many pounds before this wedding. I'm part of the wedding and I have this goal I'm trying to set. And so what do we find ourselves doing is following these terrible diets. We find ourselves doing all these things that are just temporary. And even though we're not really enjoying it, we're just pushing through these hard situations because we're trying to get to an end goal. But once you've crossed that finish line, or once you've, performed in the wedding, or once you fit into that wedding dress, or once you've maybe met a sales goal for the context of this meeting, it's easy to slip back into our old habits. And then that's what I mean by toughness and discipline. They are very important, but they're only temporary. So what I want to talk about in this next slide is that, or on the next bullet there, is that we have to embrace ourselves. So strength, our weaknesses, our interests, our talents, our experiences, they're all different. And there's a lot of power in that, because oftentimes we judge ourselves based on other people's performances, right? So we look at how other people are doing and we compare ourselves to them. And if we're doing better than them, then maybe we think, oh, maybe I'm good at this. Or quite frankly, we may compare ourselves to someone else. And if we don't model well compared to them, then maybe we now devalue ourselves or devalue what we're capable of. So this next important point is very powerful, and it definitely is a game changer for me. And that is just thinking about this, that every single one of us is unique by definition, because not even twins are the same, right? So even identical twins can have the same genetics, but they have different personalities. Our fingerprints are absolutely unique to us. So if we just talk about the scientific fact that there's 7.7 billion people on the planet, not a single one of us is the same, then by definition, we're all special. And if we think of like, wait a second, that means, why am I judging myself compared to other people? Why am I comparing myself to someone else? I need to be focused on myself. I need to make myself increase my strengths, increase my weaknesses, be better at who I am. And perhaps when I'm done with this project, I will be able to produce something the world has never seen. That's actually fact, because you're not like anyone else. If you truly become and reach your full potential, you will, by definition, be something the world has never seen. So that was a powerful lesson that I wanted to share, and I experienced that recently during a Hurricane Dorian evacuation. So that was number 2. And by the way, I made another note that I didn't put on there, and that is normal. Normal is not our goal. We should not be striving to be normal. We should be striving to be ourselves and be the best version of ourselves. And therefore, you can't get advice from other people, because that's what they use to get to their level. You're your different person. You can model other people and you can listen to advice, but in the end, we've got to be true to ourselves. We have to push ourselves as hard as we can. The listening to ourselves and moving forward on our own thoughts, our own feelings, our own insecurities, our own strengths. We have to focus on ourselves if we're going to truly be ourselves. We don't want to model. We don't want to be like anybody else. We want to be ourselves. So definitely it's important that we're not trying to be normal. We want to be authentic. We want to be ourselves. That's when we're going to truly be our best. This mindset, self-belief, and lifestyle change, we're going to go into that in a few slides. But the idea, though, is when you start to now think, wait a second, I'm not trying to be like him, or I'm not trying to be like her. I'm trying to be the best version of me. That's a lifestyle change. That's a mindset change. That's better than a little bit of discipline. That's better than just toughing it out. That's a lifestyle change. And now, instead of just pushing through, I'm now enriched. I'm powered up, and I'm exploring new things in my life. It's not just a temporary change. You're not wearing a costume, so to speak, right? If you're modeling someone else, you're wearing a costume. If you're being true to yourself, that's real, and that will fire you up and give you power every single day. So that's a total lifestyle change. That's how you get permanent changes. This next line is really, really important to me. It says we are all trying 100%. Oftentimes you'll hear people like, oh, you're not giving it your best. or you'll hear people say like, if you just tried harder, you could achieve. I'm not in that camp because oftentimes if you're saying you're not trying hard enough, the result of that is no matter what you achieve, no matter how well you do, what you do is you devalue your work when you say, well, yeah, I could have done better, I could have done more. It's totally true that we can always get more out of ourselves. But the fact is, if you could have, you would have. So every single day, you're giving it 100%. Stop beating yourself up. Enjoy and treasure and value what you did well today, what you've done well in your past. You have to reward that because it's true. And for the stuff that you now think about, what can I do better? That's how you want to focus on it. Is, okay, what am I doing well? You need to cherish that. Now, what are some things that I can do better? Definitely you want to focus on that too. But the whole beating yourself up, I've done that, it's a waste. So for example, Friday after work, I had this idea in my mind. I was going to run so many miles, and I got to 30 miles after Friday, and I was tired. And normally my personality would have been, yeah, but you wanted to do more miles, and now I go to bed beating myself up. But with this mindset of, wait a second, dude, you worked a full day. You did a 30-mile run. Just last year, you have never even gone 30 miles. And today you did a 30-miler after the end of your workday. So you have to kind of pump yourself up and build yourself up and value, like, hey, you did a solid work today. In my life, I've never given myself enough credit. And when you don't give yourself enough credit, it's exhausting because you're in this cycle of no matter what you do, no matter how much work you put in, it's never enough. That's exhausting in itself. So you got to believe in yourself. You got to give yourself credit. This next bullet where it says want change, you must change. You don't know how many times I'll have people ask me, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. But then they're trying to achieve new things, but they're going about it the same way. So you absolutely have got to abandon old techniques because there's a good book written about this. What got you here won't get you there, right? Very simple, very important. If you're going to try to achieve something new, if you're going to try to, have more confidence, you're going to try to have more strength, you're going to try to be a better communicator. You're going to try to be more comfortable in an audience. Guess what? You're going to have to do something new if you're going to get better, because what got you here won't get you there. So you got to change if you want change. This next bullet, this is so important when we talk about studying, right? We study for a job interview. We study techniques for different types of strategies. We study people that we maybe want to try to be similar to. We study them. We study math. We memorize math equations. We study for briefs. We do all this preparation in the world. But how often do you sit down and actually study yourself? That this is something I've never really done until just recently. And just on Saturday I was out there thinking about that. Like, wow, this is a lot of work. But I've put forth more work in getting my master's degree, and more work in a book report, or more work in teaching a class. I've put more work in that than I'm putting into myself. So that's a really important point, is we spend a lot of time studying other things. Why are we not slowing down and studying ourselves? Because if we can learn more about ourselves and become more of in tune of who we are, understanding ourselves, wow, it's amazing what you can accomplish. The next line there talks about hard work, arduous work, repetitive. Repetition, work is mandatory. Nobody's life is going to change from a webcast. Nobody's life is going to change from a YouTube, sitting in a coffee shop, having a discussion, hanging out after church and in a Bible study. It's nice to talk and have conversation, but there's absolutely no change that's going to occur without the hard work and without doing it over and over again. So that's a really, really important point. When we were young, we can't learn to ride a bicycle with our dad just telling us, hey, I'm going to take off the training wheels. I want you to keep your hands on the bars. I want you to pedal right foot, left foot, right foot, left foot, make nice smooth circles, and, keep moving forward. Like, we don't learn anything by people talking, and we don't learn by talking back, and we don't learn from a book. We can't learn how to swim from a book. We can't learn how to shoot a gun from a book. We can't learn from a book. It's where things start. Education is really important, but you got to put in the work. You got to put in the time. Everything in life is that's worth actually learning. That's a skill. Takes time. So that's really important. It takes time. You got to be patient and you got to work. Process improvement. I made a note there on results versus process improvement. If we're setting goals, we need to focus on things that we can control. We can control our attitude. We can control our mindset. We can control whether we keep trying or not. We can control how much effort we put into something. We can't control the race results. We can't control whether we get advanced on the military advancement exam. We can't control how many sales we actually make. We can't control other people, and we can't control results. We can't control outcomes, but we can control our mindset. We can control our attitude. We can control our effort. So that's really important, is we focus on the things that we can't control. And as I said earlier, there's no so process improvement. Back to Chris Boardman, he's a world record holder for bicycle riding, and they talked about, man, how did you go from from being a normal cyclist to a world record holder? And he said, well, every time I rode, I sat down and I looked at, what can I do better? Could I get my head in better position? Could I get my saddle, maybe I adjust my saddle height? Maybe I adjust my bar height. Maybe perhaps if I didn't eat so much before that, maybe I didn't eat enough. Maybe I didn't drink enough. It's every effort, taking the time to analyze what you did well and where can you improve. It's a process. It's not about results. Results will come with time. You got to be patient. It takes time, but it's about focusing on the process, and you are the subject. You are what you got to focus on if you want to improve those processes. And the last thing is, we talk about, you got to master your mind. You got to master yourself. There's no mastery. You're never perfect. You're never done. The work is never finished. There's no mastery. This is a lifelong process. It's a lifelong mindset. This is every day in, day out, trying to be a better version of yourself. So that leads us right into the next page there. Patience is required. These are just some examples where I've got battles on the left and victories on the right. This is just an example to just highlight that this doesn't happen fast. So real quickly on the left, you'll see that I attempted college 4 different times before finally finishing my bachelor's degree and my master's degree. That was 12 years. That was a 12-year process. On the finance side, man, before I joined the military, before I started to learn this thing about discipline and hard work and mindset, my finances, man, I had a truck repossessed. I had filed bankruptcy. My finances were a wreck. So you see an 18-year journey there, where just recently, I think my wife had shown me, baby, we're over 800 on our credit score. And it's like, man, that's fantastic, because I can remember literally jogging to work because I didn't have a vehicle to get there. So this just takes time. You got to be patient. There on the next block talks about relationships. By the time I was a teenager, my mother was on her 5th marriage. My father was on his 5th marriage. And I didn't have very much success in relationships because I didn't exactly have good examples. But when I finally said, you know what, I'm not going to be like that. I am not stuck in my childhood. I am my own person. I'm going to live my own life the way I want. 18 years later, I'm still married to my wife, and we have 2 wonderful children, and it's the only marriage I've ever been in. I hope it's the only one I am ever in. So again, it takes time. Employers, same thing. I never had a job longer than 2 months. Never had a job longer than 2 months until I really grilled down, changed my mindset, and fell in love with working hard. And so I'm at 19 years right now, military service. Hey, where's Chief Nieto? So this is for her. Shout out for her. I was looking at statistics, and I saw that only 20% of people who enlist in the Navy actually make it to the rank of E7 and retire. So that's 1 in 5. So that's pretty awesome to do that. Let's see here. Oh, this is a great one. So water skills. You see there, traumatic water experiences. So I'm that kid who didn't float, right? So there's a small percentage of the population that doesn't float naturally. I'm that part of the population. And so how I was taught to swim was I was thrown into the apartment complex swimming pools, and boom, I'm on the bottom, right? So surprised my father and surprised me. So I get pulled up off the bottom of the pool. Needless to say, I'm not excited about being around the water. Another time when I was with my mom, we were out. You guys are familiar with these sinkholes out in Tallahassee, and yeah, she took a cigarette lighter and burned my floaty, and then had me jump in the water without my floaty. And sure enough, I start sinking, and those sinkholes they go down pretty far. So somebody jumped in and grabbed me and pulled me out. But anyways, I had traumatic water experiences. Never was that comfortable around water. 24 years later, I graduate dive school, Navy dive school, as the top in my class. I was honor man during advanced dive school. It wasn't easy, but the mindset of I've started something, I'm going to see this through to the end. Facing your fears, no matter how tough it gets, you just keep taking one step forward. You just keep moving forward no matter what. I specifically remember coming home one night in the middle of dive week, and I think it was on a Wednesday night, on night 3 of 5-week pool comp, and Bonham can talk to this one. But took some pretty nasty hits, and I remember second guessing whether I wanted to be a Navy diver or not. So that was a pretty interesting experience. And then fast forward, I ended up being a water survival instructor in 2005. I become an assistant director of a water survival training center out of San Diego, and now I'm the director of a water survival schoolhouse. So here's a kid who's traumatic water experiences, and now I'm 24 years later, I'm actually running a survival training school. So that's not about me. That's about look at what we can do when we change our mindset. Look at what we can do when we face our fears and we're willing to get in and get uncomfortable. So hey, that next slide talks about toughness equals endurance. So these are just conversational points. I have some experience in you'll see there on that slide, Taekwondo, having a black belt in Taekwondo. Did a Honolulu marathon I showed up to my dive locker and they're like, hey, we're doing the Honolulu marathon. I didn't know what that was. It's a 26-mile run. Wow, I didn't know people ran that far. And then 2 weeks later, I showed up at this thing and finished it. But hey, I was proud to have finished. It was not easy. It took a lot of effort. There's some other things I've done on the slide. If you have the slide set, you guys can look at it, and maybe those are conversational pieces at another time. I don't really want to get too much into me, what I've done. But some of the stuff I've done it's not natural. It doesn't, and on the paper it doesn't look natural. And it's not natural because your natural instincts are not going to allow you to be this uncomfortable. And that's one of the big takeaways is we've got to face nature. Nature is protective. Nature keeps us secure. Nature keeps us safe. Nature keeps us comfortable. And our nature is good for survival. But this world's pretty comfortable. We got air-conditioned house. We got food that has a shelf life that, man, who knows how long some of that stuff can last on the shelf. We've got transportation. We've got all of our needs are met. If we're focused on survival, we're going to be on the couch doing virtual reality, everything. I mean, it's amazing. So we definitely got to get. We got to fight nature. Nature is not working in our best interest here. Let's see here. I'll just go ahead and get to the next slide because that's really where we want to go here. And this is mindset. And this is critical to self-belief. So there was a longitudinal study done on weight loss, and it took people who were successful. So they followed the protocol, and these were the people who lost weight. And when you look at those stats, this is staggering. 80% of the people who were considered successful gained all the weight back in 12 months. So I'm not sure we're going to consider that success, right? If you gain all your weight back. The next line is 90% of the people that were categorized as successful, 90% of them actually gained their weight back within 3 years. And this does not exclude like your Biggest Losers TV show that we see, There's an interesting study that was done on them as well. But basically the statistics are the same. If you just grind it out, if you just try to push hard, You make, these are temporary. Toughness is temporary. Mindset is absolutely critical for long-term change. And then the other really disturbing one was over 33% of the people who were successful in losing weight actually netted more weight after the study was over. So not only did we gain the weight back, but we actually gained additional weight. So I don't know that I would call that successful. And that's the difference between just toughness and discipline versus changing your mindset and having a lifestyle change. Let's see here. So yeah, only 10% basically. The people who lost weight, who kept the weight off, only 10% of that population actually kept the weight off after 3 years. And the difference was lifestyle. So the people who actually changed their thinking, they changed their routines, they developed new habits. Those are the ones that were successful. So I thought that was an important point to highlight the difference between just achieving something is one thing. But if you want long-term results, you have to have a change in mindset, which means everything changes. And really this whole process is about focusing on ourselves and trying to be the best version of ourselves. So we got to fall in love with getting uncomfortable. We got to fall in love with the process of making ourselves better. All right. So this next paragraph there, this is pretty hardcore. This is me being completely open and being open about my truth. So it says here, my story used to bring me sadness, pain, and even tears. Even recently, just typing about, my childhood, my father, my mother, my grandparents, my siblings, where I grew up, very, very uncomfortable. So uncomfortable that I don't even like typing about it. That's how uncomfortable it is. But I'll go ahead and be honest with you guys because it's part of my growth too, right? So you'll see here, I was physically abused by my mother and my stepmother and my father. So yeah, it's not good for a child's confidence, getting actually beat by the people who are supposed to protect you and love you. And some of you guys may be able to relate with that in this webcast. I don't have any family members that I even know of who have a college education. My father actually didn't get past middle school, so he couldn't read or write. My grandmother actually died under the influence in an automobile accident. And just a few years ago, this man who is, I guess, called my grandfather, I wouldn't call him that, he committed suicide while under the influence. Both my uncle and my mother have been jailed for drug charges. My mother's a recovering alcoholic and drug addict. I was verbally abused by my father. When you're young, you can't have your father asking, son, what are you good for? Not good for your self-confidence, not good for your self-esteem, definitely not good for your self-belief. He would do things like have me run, lasso me with a cowboy rope, and catch me by the neck and then yank on it like I was like a livestock. He would do things like have me grab electric fence and then, tell me, hey, just help me out, put this wire back on. And it was hot, and I'd get zapped, and he thought that was hilarious. So the person who's supposed to build you up, the person who's supposed to build your confidence, protect you, is the one laughing at you, saying you're worthless, and using you for entertainment. This is not good for a young man's psyche. And you'll see there I was homeless in 1984 and then homeless again in 1997. So why I share this stuff is because it's the truth. We love to talk about what we're proud of. We love to talk about our accomplishments. But I can tell you for sure that I would not be here today having done what I've done without some of this in my past as well. Because this is the stuff that drives us. This is the stuff that it's fuel. It is fuel to get us uncomfortable and change our life. So I really encourage anyone and everyone to slow down, think about your life, be honest with yourself, write out on paper your truth. You got to be true with yourself and be real with yourself and embrace who you really are, because you can't improve something if you're not working on what really needs to be worked on. That's really important. So you got to be true with yourself. And these are some of my truths. But yeah, mindset, self-belief. And my whole point here is this isn't like a sad sob story. I want people to feel sorry for me. This is supposed to be me sharing with you. Look at what I have overcome, and I did all this without self-belief. Self-belief, I love the topic, Sarah, because it's new to me. Self-belief, I'm only about 5 weeks into working on building self-belief. But here's the power in that statement. If you don't have self-belief, this is okay. We can get it. I'm confident we can get this over time, and we're working through this together. What I did was I wrote out on paper, what are the things I'm proud of? What are the things that I worked hard for? What are the things that I did that are my truth? And I oftentimes would I would devalue myself, because I had no self-belief in my life when I was younger. That would motivate me to try to work harder, because I wanted to get recognition. I wanted to prove that I was worth something. So this is good. It motivates us. The problem is when you don't have self-belief, no matter what you accomplish, you will undermine it. You will say, yeah, that was nothing special, or, oh, I could have done better. Or, yeah, anybody could have accomplished that. Now you're not giving yourself credit. So you're not lifting yourself up. You're just constantly beating yourself down. And that's exhausting and that's fatiguing. So it is very important that you credit your work, credit what truly you've done. You have to give that credit. That helps the self-belief. You don't want to be delusional. Oh, I'm amazing, and make excuses for things. No. None of us are perfect. None of us are our best. We can all do better. Be honest with what you've accomplished. Be honest with what got you here, but also always be challenging yourself. Give yourself a few things to work on. What are some things I can work on to be better? So that's really, really important. But the powerful statement in this slide is, if you guys are with me and maybe you lack some self-belief, you have fears, you have anxiety, you have doubt, perhaps you know yourself better than anybody. Write down the things you've done without self-belief and imagine what you can accomplish with it. So powerful, very, very important. Okay, the next slide is really fun because this is like story after story after story. Sarah, having looked at this slide on mindset where it gives you like some of these stories, is there anything that jumps out that you want me to talk about? Because I know we're already at 9:35, and maybe I can just pick one or two that you're interested in that you think the group wants to hear about.
So you have so many, so I feel like we're just gonna have to have you come back to talk about this. But I would love for you to talk about your 100-mile. It was over 100 miles. I mean, it was just so powerful because you weren't a runner. You never trained to be a runner.
Yeah.
You ran 100 miles. Like, what?
Okay, so here I can tell you. Okay, the 100 miles. The reason why that doesn't mean much to me is because here's what's valuable about the 100-mile run. One, it's a crazy amount of distance. Two, I did it after work. So I worked a normal business day. Then now it's 4 p.m. Go. I run through the evening, run through the night, run through the next day, and then I finish the next p.m. So and I had a lot of blistered feet, and it was tiring, and it was here's the highlight that I'll share about the 100-miler. This is good. When I got to mile 57, I had so much stomach problems that I was forced to walk for about 2.5 hours. Now, I could have just stopped and said, oh man, I tried, but my stomach messed up, and so I'll try again next time. There's no way I'm stopping. I'm going to work through these stomach problems. We're just going to push through. This is just step after step. There's no stopping here. Keep going. Now, I get through around the 60, somewhere in the mile 60 range, and I am so sore and so stiff and so like in pain, my feet and my hips and my knees, that I would say from about mile 65, maybe mile 68, through mile 97, I am committed to walking. There was about a 3-mile stretch when I ran, and it had me laying next to a tree with my feet up on the tree. I was in such, it just made it really bad for me. So here's what I want to share is from mile 60s through mile 97. This is like 12 hours, right? 3 miles per hour walking. with stops. Like, this is a long period of time. I have completely forfeited to the idea of being able to run another step. This is what's interesting, is I get to mile 97 and a half, and my wife calls me and she says, how much longer? And I'm like, well, I've got 2.5 miles left. I think that'll take me about an hour. But I'm in so much pain. Like, if I had a pain scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the worst pain that you could just endure, I was like at a 9. And I was at a 9 walking. And I thought literally, I don't want to do this for an hour. So I started running because I needed less pain in my life. So I'm running because I'm thinking, if I just run for, say, 2.5 miles, maybe I could be done in 30 minutes. So I'm thinking, run and cut your pain in half. Now, while I'm running, my pain scale goes up to like 9.5. And I'm thinking, okay, there's not much difference in pain, but I'm going to cut my total time left in half. So I'm running, and I'm saying a bunch of bad words like cussing because it's so painful. But it's in the evening on base, Friday night. I don't think anybody's out there, Chief. But I'm just cussing on the top of my lungs because I'm just venting the pain inside my body. And now, after about a mile of that, now I'm laughing at myself because I committed 12 hours ago that it was impossible for me to run. Now I'm running faster than I've ran in the past 12 hours. I'm running. So now I'm laughing and I'm running, and I start to look at my split because it beeps at me, your per minute mile pace. At mile 99, I am near my fastest mile for this whole 100-mile effort. I'm at mile 99 running my fastest mile at mile 99. So now I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. So I keep running all the way back to the shop. And my last mile 100, was faster than all 99 miles previous. So that was probably my best message I'd like to share in the 100-mile experience was, how is it possible that mile 100 was faster than 99 miles previous? Because all the other miles I was thinking, oh, I have to be careful. I have to be safe. I don't want to hurt myself, right? So I'm going slow trying to protect myself. And it's not until I finally just abandon all mental fears because I'm in so much pain. I got to do something different. This is killing me. That mile 100 is my fastest, even though I spent over 12 hours thinking there's no way I can run. It hurts too bad. So that's what I'd like to share in the 100-mile experience. The first ever distance I covered greater than 26 miles was amazing. That's a really great story. And then my very first ever 50-mile running race, that was an amazing story. So that's probably the two next big ones. The one that has to do with self-belief is the last one you see there. That's a self-belief story. So you guys, I guess, or Sarah, you can tell me, or if anybody wants to message or tell Sarah what you guys would want to hear. But the 50-mile running race was an amazing, wow, it's amazing what the body can do if the mind will stop holding us back. Our mind gets in our way, right, Sarah? The mind is we got to get out of our own way. That's a great saying. The first 50-mile race I did is an example of letting our mind get out of the way, let the body work. That's a great story. But the burpee pull-up experience was a great demonstration of self-belief. So you guys tell me what you want to hear, and I'll share one of those. Or I'll share the one that you want.
I just realized as I'm looking at those notes that I'm like, oh, the 100-mile wasn't even on there. So I just love that. I think it's so powerful. Like how you weren't a runner. And I think that's a huge part of this, you guys. Like, he wasn't a runner, never trained to be a runner, yet he did that. So stinking powerful. So tell us about the pull-ups. I was reading that, I was like, holy moly.
Okay, the burpee pull-ups is great because this is right on topic with self-belief. So during Hurricane Dorian evac, my family and I, we packed up, wanted to be safe. We had family at that big one, Hurricane Michael. So we saw the death, the destruction of Hurricane Michael. So we weren't taking any chances. So we packed up and went to Alabama, my father-in-law's house. And we got up there, and, I'm not sitting around. I got to come up with something. I got to challenge myself. So in his backyard, he's got this old basketball hoop. And so I hung a chain to a piece of electrical pipe and made a homemade pull-up bar from his basketball hoop. And then I did a Google search for burpee pull-ups. And I was curious on, what's the world record for burpee pull-ups? I've never done a burpee pull-up kind of workout, and I thought, what does this look like? And the number was 21 burpee pull-ups in 1 minute. And the next world record was 412 in 1 hour. And I had nothing to base on, like, could I do 21 in a minute and could I do 400 in an hour? Had no idea. And I just thought, well, heck, let's just go do some burpee pull-ups and let's record this experience. So I'm literally taking notes while I'm out there doing burpee pull-ups. Now you'll see in my notes, when I got to rep 44, my notes were, wow, okay, exclamation point. Because I had never done this before. I got to 44 and I was like, whew, this is no joke. Now that was not in a minute. That might've been 30 minutes. It wasn't fast. I don't know what the exact time. I didn't record the time. My point was I got to rep 44 and I got a wake up call for what this was going to be like. Now, remember, I had wrote down, or I had, my experience was, let's experience what it's like to do 412 burpee pull-ups. I'm at 44 now, like, wow, okay, this is going to be a real challenge. I'm able to work through, just slow down, breathe, pace, take your time, put some sunblock on your back because I'm in the backyard out in Alabama and it is blazing hot. Drinking plenty of water. I get to rep 250 and I'm taking notes now. And my notes at the 250 mark were, I'm now looking for a way out. Now, I was thinking I wanted to do 412 to see what that felt like. At rep 250, I am now having all this logic and reason and rationalization going in my mind, like, okay, well, you've never done these before. Maybe you need some rest. Take some time. Next time you can try 400 next time. That pull-up bar is hanging from a chain, so it's swinging, so you're not getting good leverage, so I had all these thoughts as to giving myself a reason to back out, right? Like, it's been a good experience, back out. But the idea was to document the experience of 412 burpees. So I just do 1 rep at a time, 2 reps at a time, 3 or 4 reps, back to, like, I'm just doing what I can. Eventually I get to 350 reps. At 350, I have the idea. Wait a second, man, you're now 62 reps away. You're 62 reps away of feeling what it's like, maybe what that guy felt like when he did a world record. You're now having a chance to feel, you're now feeling, you're getting close to what he was at. So that kind of inspired me, right? But I'm using the visualization. What's it like? I'm staying in it and I'm moving forward. As I approach 400, now I'm absolutely convinced I'm going to get through 412. I've done it. But this is where the self-belief, this is where the idea comes into play. Instead of me trying to be like a world record, be like him, I start to think, wait a second. You're not him, and you don't want to be him. Maybe he wants to be you. So I'm now thinking, wait a second, this is not about him. This is about me. This is about my process. This is my journey. And I'm talking to myself and I'm feeding myself this information. And I'm thinking back all the things I'm proud of in my life. This is where it gets emotional. Because now you're thinking, wait a second, look where you came from. Look at your father. Look at your mother. Look at how you were beat down. This is where you start to give yourself value. You're special. You've done all that and you've never believed in yourself. Imagine what you can do when you believe in yourself. So that's driving me through 400 reps, through 410 reps, through 412 reps, through 450 reps, through 500 reps, through 550 reps. I am fixated on, don't worry about what other people do. You are amazing. I'm telling myself this. You're amazing. Look at your life. Look at where you came from. If someone else was in your shoes, there's no way they could do what you've done. So I'm feeding myself. I'm valuable. I'm valuable. This is not a lie. This is true. I have done all those things. Yes, I've had people help me along the way, but I did the work. So I'm giving myself credit for how I've gotten to where I am. And now I'm through 400 reps, I'm through 500 reps. And then I start to tell myself, at 250 reps, you were trying to stop. Now you're over 500 reps because you believe in yourself, because you're special, because there's nobody else on the planet like you. This is powerful dialogue. This is a powerful language, powerful constant conversation to have in your mind, because now you're filling yourself up with truth. I get to 600 reps and now I'm having shoulder pains. Now I know the difference between feeling tired and having pain. I'm definitely experiencing pain, but I'm not going to stop because of pain. So what I've learned is don't stop as a reaction. You don't let nature dictate your behavior. That's like, oh, I want to lose weight. I'm feeling hungry. Eat. No. Who's in control here? Who's in control? Is your thinking in control, or are you letting your nature be in control? So I've learned it's very important that we have to let our thinking part of our mind, the positive, to build yourself up. I know who I am. I know what I'm capable of. Or maybe I don't know. I know I'm special and I'm working to, I'm powerful. That has to be in control. So when I hit the 600 rep mark and I started to feel pain, I have to talk myself down, like, hold on. Yes, you've got pain, but who's in charge? This is the weird conversation I'm having, right? It sounds like, hey man, he's bat crazy. Yes, it sounds a little bit crazy, but this is the kind of dialogue that has to happen. Who's in control? So what I do is, instead of stopping, I adjust my grip. Okay, I make adjustments. This is important. When you get uncomfortable and you're trying to accomplish something and things aren't going the way you want, you have to adapt. You have to make adjustments. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect a different outcome. You have to make change. You have to move left. You have to move right. You have to change your strategy. So I'm just adjust my strategies. Through 630, through 650, through 660, I'm making adjustments. Now, I'm in control, not my shoulder, not the nature. I'm in control because I'm thinking now. This has to be in control. This is how we achieve anything, is we have to let our thinking self be in control. If we think when we're tired, if we think when we're hungry, if we make decisions when we're cranky, you've lost control. So that's an important piece, is to keep control. You have to let the thinking side of your brain make the decisions. The final thing is, I get a call from my wife and she says, honey, my father is sleeping in the living room on the air mattress. It's nearly midnight. When are you going to come inside? It's rude to come inside the house, take a shower, wake them up, that kind of thing. So I'm like, okay, babe, listen, you're right. I need to take a shower. I'm nasty. I've been out here for a lot of hours. I have accomplished what I need to accomplish. This was a great experiment. This was a great experience. I documented stuff. So at rep 700, I stopped. And I didn't stop because I was tired. I didn't stop because I was in pain. I didn't stop because I was quitting. At 700, I stopped because it was time. It was time to go in and take a shower. The mission is accomplished. You did what you needed to do. I don't beat myself up. A long time ago, I had to beat myself up. Why do you do another 100? Why do you do 1,000? Like, you can't be beating yourself up. You got to reward yourself for the work that you put in. And you have to make sure that when you make decisions to stop, it's based on your thinking, not your nature. Your nature will always protect yourself. Your nature will always keep you comfortable. Your nature will not help you get further. Your nature will just keep you protected and safe. So that's probably the best I could give you out of the burpee experience, was definitely document, definitely pay attention to your thoughts and feelings. And when it's done, look at it. Here's a powerful way to look at that burpee story. I never would have done this before. You know what I told myself when it was over? I said, listen, man, you wanted to stop at 250. You went to 700. That's amazing. Nobody else is giving me that. I'm giving it to myself. And that's truth. I did it. I know where I wanted to quit, and I know where I stopped. So I'm going to reward myself for that. Now, here's a fun way to look at that day. Is the world record is for 1 minute. It's 21. The world record is for 1 hour. It's 4:12. Guess what? I only did 700. Like, oh yeah, that's not that much. Hey, guess what? The world record is 4:12. I did 700 and I'd never done them before. I have an unofficial world record. Oh yeah, but blah, 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 blah. No, don't devalue what you did. Don't bring it down. Everybody wants to bring things down. No, you got to be your own cheerleader sometimes, because everybody, like, they want to pull you down, or they want you to be humble. They want you to say like, oh no, it wasn't nothing special. You know, he did it in an hour. It took you, I think it was like 10 hours. It doesn't matter. It took me 10 hours. I did 700 burpee pull-ups. Man, that's crazy. So that's my story, is we got to talk to ourselves. You got to fuel ourselves up and power ourselves up. For those of you out there, I other stories like this. I know we don't have a lot of time. I almost talked the whole entire hour. This is my life. I do this all the time. I'm always documenting things. This has got nothing to do with running 100 miles. It's got nothing to do with pull-ups. It's got nothing to do with credit scores. This is no like secret to success. This is real life experiences that I share. I told Sarah I've got a page where I share this stuff. I'm not making profit from this. My biggest profit is to have a conversation with someone, their eyes to light up. Man, I've been there. I felt that. They apply that in their life, and we share a dialogue where, you know what, this is what I did and this is how I got to the next level. So that's my back to my purpose of this whole thing that we started out, was the very beginning, which is the whole point of this is for me to share some stories about mindset, share some stories about self-belief, the power of self-belief. Yes, discipline and toughness is helpful temporarily. If you're in round 11 and you're getting your face punched in and you got to get one more round, like, okay, you survived it. But I don't want to be a boxer because that was not a good experience. That's the thing. Toughness and all that stuff, it doesn't give you the long-term results. Lifestyle changes, mindsets, that would give you the long-term results. But anyways, that's my pleasure to be open with you guys, be honest with you guys, and share with you some little nuggets that I've learned in my brief period.
Shawn, thank you so much. I know that was not easy to share some of the things that you shared openly with all of us women, men. We have Blake on here tonight too. And I don't know about you guys. I have a notebook full of notes from tonight's call, and I hope that you were able to really take this message and then also flip it not only to your Zyia business, but also to your life. Like, so much. And one of the things that I thought of when Shawn was talking about how we protect ourselves, how many times have you heard someone say, oh, I'm only going to do this for the discount. I'm going to just do this really slow. I'm going to take my time. It's okay if it takes me 20 years, right? Like, that's our mindset, like trying to protect us from the fear of rejection, of failure. And so anyways, I hope that you guys are really able to take this. I'm fired up. I don't know about you guys, but Shawn, thank you. I want to, Shawn, this isn't the last time you guys are going to see Shawn, because we've talked and we want to share some other things and put some things together. And because I think that this is so important. What we do, we're not running 100 miles. We're not doing 700 burpees, you guys. What we do is not hard. Like I always say, like you almost can't even use that word. It's uncomfortable. It's challenging. But what we do is not hard, you guys. It's hard up here, right? Like we're not building homes and installing windows. Like it's all up here. And this is why, like, I really want to work with Shawn. I know Katie has a gal, that's wanting to do guest speaking with us too, to really help our mindset. Because if you can control this, you're untouchable, you guys. Untouchable. So much success here in Zyia. So, I don't know, Katie, Natalie, did you guys want to close the night or say anything as we wrap up? No? Yes?
I thought it was amazing. Thank you so much, Shawn, for sharing and being vulnerable with us. Loved, and I did read Can't Hurt Me, so I did get to get a little more background on everything. But you guys, we've talked about this so many times. Mindset is 99% of success, and it's just proof coming from another amazing person to show that it applies to more than just a Zyia business. It applies to everything. And I think that, when you can control your mind, you can truly overcome any obstacle that is put in front of you. And it is, you just have to believe in yourself. And so I love everything that Shawn had said.
Did we get a freeze?
We have his example. If we can just continue to forward to you guys, That's what we want. We want you guys to get this right up here, because once this is right, you're unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
Like, so many things. You are unstoppable, and you truly are. And it doesn't matter what other people think, because it's all here. And so, yeah, I thought it was awesome, Shawn. Thank you for taking your time with our teams. There's gonna be lots of other views past who is even here tonight. There's gonna be hundreds of people watching it. So we are grateful for what you shared tonight. So thank you.
Yeah, Katie, you know, Sarah was talking about, hey guys, you know, I know we're not doing 100 miles. Our stuff's kind of easy. I don't know, maybe not for Sarah, but I tell you, being on a webcast, whew, I would way rather be on a 100-mile run than be sitting here with my face on a camera, talking to a bunch of people about, I mean, even coming to tears on something about my life. Not cool. I wasn't excited about this. I would say that talking to people you don't know, that's very, very uncomfortable. The idea is it's not 100 miles, and it's all about us. You have to face what you're uncomfortable with, and don't undermine it. It's a huge accomplishment. Hey, I'm going to walk up to that person who I don't know and shake their hand and introduce myself. Give yourself credit when you do, even though it wasn't hard. I just shook their hand. If it was hard to you, it was hard, and give yourself credit when you did it. So definitely make some small achievable goals and reward yourself when you do that. It doesn't have to be physical work. Quite frankly, the mental work, a lot harder than the physical work sometimes.
100%. 100. And everybody's challenges are so different, and everybody's comfort level is drastically, different. And so what is comfortable for you, Shawn, is totally comfortable for some of us, and vice versa. So it's in your mind, and you only can move ahead by conquering those fears, but it all takes mindset to get there. And so you're 100% correct. So thank you again so much. And then Sarah, I'll let you kind of wrap everything up.
Yeah, so you guys, this is a recorded call. Again, this is not going to be the last time, I hope, right, Shawn? Not the last time. We're going to see you again. We're going to make you really comfortable at speaking to all of us women. But no, the call's recorded. I will get it uploaded, you guys, and send it out as soon as I can. And I hope that you guys have a great night. And I'm really excited to take everything that, and just like Shawn said, like, no words are going to change our lives. It's taking that action step forward. So I really hope that we can take this message today and praise ourselves and speak truth into ourselves this week as we wrap up close week, you guys. There's so many promotions happening. I can't even believe what is happening across the week. So take this energy and kill the last week of the month, you guys. I'm so excited for you guys. So anyways, have a great night, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.